Shade comes from reading. Reading came first. Reading is the real art form of insult.
Now you want to talk about reading? Let's talk about reading.
But I don't have to tell you because you know you're ugly. And that's shade.
Everybody get the same dance sound. Everybody get the same dance sound. Everybody get the same dance sound. Everybody get the same dance sound.
Hi everyone, and welcome to All Shade No Tree. I'm Miss Patti, and I'm here with.
Jack Fuller filling in for GypJaQ, still on the attack. Meow.
And this is All Shade No Tree, where we bring you all this week's hot topic, fun celebrity gossip, and current news. If you aren't following us, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/TheNewKaiTree, and make sure you follow us on Facebook for more episodes and content like this. And make sure if you want to see all the full episodes of All Shade No Tree, no interruptions, no nothing, make sure you check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/TheNewKaiTree and help support this podcast, make it better, help it grow. We have exclusive bonus content, behind the scenes footage, and merch that you can just only get on our Patreon. So make sure you check us out and join us on Patreon at A New Kai Tree. So before we get into tonight's stories, you can see it's a little different tonight. GypJaQ, what's up? I mean, Jack, what's going on? Where's GypJaQ? How you doing? How you feeling?
GypJaQ is out doing some stuff that y'all have no business knowing. Um, but at the end of the day, Jack Fuller is here to fill in. We are both artists in our own right. We have different shit going on, and sometimes GypJaQ is busy and Jack Fuller takes over.
Hey, we working girls. We out here working. We got a great show for you tonight. So let's get into it. So our first segment, as always, we break it down with the tea leaves, and that's where we sip that tea and read the leaves. And our first story for tonight in the tea leaves is this is a really funny one. A Brazilian man puts a dumbbell up his rectum for sexual pleasure. Medics had to pull an 8-inch metal dumbbell out of a 54-year-old Brazilian man's rectum with their bare hands after surgical tools failed. They tried forceps, they tried a few different things, and they weren't able to get that thing out. So one of the surgeons had to, go on and reach up in there and pull it out. And what do you think about this story? Like,
A
first of all,
dumbbell?
it's not like looking at it, like you can see it over here in the corner.
Yeah, I mean it's not that it's that big or wide or anything like that, but it is 8 pounds. Like, is there an 8 pound
No,
dick
not
just like
not 8 pounds,
chilling?
8 inches. I think that's like
Oh,
maybe
okay.
like a 1 or 2 pound dumbbell.
Oh, okay. I mean, like, I guess, like, I don't.
It's
My
two
thing is, like,
kilos.
how
I
did
think
you
two
get it?
kilos is like 5 pounds.
How did you get it stuck up there?
He was
Like,
using it to masturbate, and maybe he like it slipped up. Like, if you lube up metal, it's hard to grip onto. It's not silicone, so maybe like he
I
was.
mean, that's true, but like, ugh, I don't know. There's got to be better options. Like, there's better options than anything that is used to just like work out. I don't even know about like when people like try to champion metal dildos in the first place. I'm like, ooh, I
Wait, the
don't
girls
know.
out here
Like,
doing that?
yeah,
There's metal
there's whole
dildos.
there's yes, bitch. There's metal dildos, glass dildos, which that
Well,
makes
I know
even
about
less sense
glass. I
to
didn't know there were
me.
metal dildos.
Glass makes even less sense to me because I mean, if you got the real super gorilla grip, like who knows what the shatter rate is of that? You know what I'm saying? Like there's too much going on for you to not just get some silicone, for you to
That's
not get
shattering
some
up the booty
rubber.
hole. I didn't even think of
Yeah, for you
that.
to like, you know what I'm saying? For you to just not get some rubber or some latex or something, anything else. Use your fingers. Get a cucumber and a condom. Like, bitch, like, are you kidding me? Like, there's a banana somewhere in the vicinity. Like, you have options, girl. Not any metal.
I mean, people like to experiment and try different things. Like, I was surprised that this was so common. The source that I got this from had different statistics of people and genders that have had things stuck up their rectums. It's mostly men. It's predominantly men. The rates for women are low, but it's mostly men between the ages of 20 and 35 that have like the highest number. Like after 35, I guess well, he was 54, but it lessens the things that you put up there. I
As in, like, the people. I'm sorry, I gotta ask.
Would have to be like,
I'm sorry, I gotta ask.
Today. Go ahead.
I gotta ask. It lessens the variety of things people try to put up there once you get past 50,
Or getting
or
stuck up there.
getting stuck because why? Because loose booty, or because like
I didn't look that far. I don't know.
oh, because I'm like, oh my god, like that to me that makes it even crazier. Like, okay, maybe this is like a gay a baby, right? Like, he's still a baby gay, and he's trying to figure out what goes up there, and he still has the snapback.
Well, this
'Cause
was
I
a
mean,
54-year-old man. This is damn near a senior citizen. He should know better.
but I mean, he might be a baby gay. He might be new to getting his anal
Oh, I see what
his
you
anal
I see what
pleasures. You
mean.
see what I'm saying?
Recently come out.
Because what 54-year-old bottom, is gonna be able to hold a 2 pound 8 inch dumbbell,
2 kilo. So 2 kilos. I don't know the conversion
a
rate.
pound and a half or whatever like that. It's definitely like a dumbbell less than a pound is doing what? It's at least a pound.
Well,
right?
holding it is one thing. Getting it out is another.
It should just come out if you're a 54-year-old bottom.
Well, apparently not.
That's why I think he
Needed a whole
knew.
team.
That's why I think he's new. Listening? That's why I think he's new.
I mean, even with experience, maybe the muscles get weak over time. Who knows?
But that's why it should come just out. Like, it shouldn't stay in. Unless you were hanging upside down and somebody was shaking you and this just started inching towards you.
I don't know. All right, well, let's get into our next story for the night. Britney Spears is expecting her third child with her fiance Sam Asghari. Sam is about to be a father for the first time, but he says that having a baby with Britney should have happened a long time ago. Like he said in a recent interview, he wanted to have a kid with her like 3 years ago. But anytime is the right time, and I'm happy for her. Like, her conservatorship is over. She's trying to like start her life again as like a fully independent woman. She's having a new baby. Like her two older sons are teenagers now that she has with Kevin Federline, and he's been the custodial parent of them for like a long time. Like I think since they were at least toddlers. So maybe this is like her chance to try again at motherhood and like do it in a way where she's in a better place this time.
Yeah, I mean it's a little scary, you know what I'm saying? Because it's definitely we can't forget, you know what I'm saying? So we just want her to stay as, stable as possible. I know that now that the conservatorship is done, there's a lot of things that are, just not on her mind anymore, and she can absolutely relax, like you said. So hopefully that ability to just like have control over her own life gives her a level of clarity, you know what I'm saying, that will allow her to like give this child the love it deserves, and stay a little more on the woo 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 side of life, because we know Britney has been on the not so woo woo woo, and we just want we just want her to chill and stabilize. Like, imagine being this famous and having like made that many people rich and never stabilize. So I hope this baby is a sign of stabilization.
Me too. yeah, we wish them well. Like, I really hope this like works out well for Britney. Us being 80s babies, but like really like 90s and 2000s kids. Britney, like for me anyway, like holds a special place in my heart as like one of like our major pop stars. And I'm glad that she's able to have this new chapter in her life.
Fully
And
agree.
we don't
For
talk
me as
about the
well.
whites often. Like, we talking about a few of the whites tonight. So like, this episode is kind of what's going on with the whites.
They got drama this week for whatever reason. I don't know. It's on them this week.
It is. It is. Yeah. Oh, so just a reminder, make sure like if you have not, if you're like, make sure you really support this podcast. Make sure you share this. Like, shares help. Tell your friends. Love this post. Loves and likes go really far. They really help. And make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube and hit that notification bell so you get notifications anytime we post a new video. But moving right along to our next story for the night. Drag Race season 14. The never ending season.
The never ending season.
It's finally coming to a close. Willow Pill, Bosco, Lady Camden, Ingeria Paris, Van Michaels, Diabetes have made the top 5. And we saw the reunion tonight. And there was a sprinkling of drama. This was a long ass season. Like, they literally didn't get to the top 5 until episode fucking 14.
Real.
And it seems like the producers and the judges were hard pressed to find this top 5. And I personally feel like that had a lot to do with Cornbread dropping out and not many of them, getting disqualified because of her injury from the competition. And they didn't know what to do because, like, for me, Cornbread was like a real front runner for a long time. And we say a lot, like, the conversation between Jack and I often, like, Drag Race is a reality show. World of Wonder is a huge production conglomerate. Like, I don't think the show is rigged. I feel like production has things in the bag coming up for the year, and they're looking for a queen that can really do and fulfill whatever it is that they want for the projects they have, whether that be a movie, whether that be like music or like a tour. They're looking for a queen that can fit whatever plans they have coming up. And I feel like because this season was really acting challenge heavy, they were looking for someone who can act. And they had a hard time finding that. Like, look at Snatch Game was a mess. And a good part of acting is improv, especially acting that involves like drag. But what were your feelings about this season?
This season, I'm inclined to agree with freaking Bob, to be honest. Like, what? Like, Rue, what? Like, I'm sorry, the girls, and it made it very indicative that what you're saying has even more merit. I mean, it always had merit, but this kind of made it obvious. Like you said, maybe it's not rigged, you know what I'm saying? Even though to some degree I do think it's rigged, I think they have like there may be 3 girls that they really think is going to do the thing. And they test them, you know what I'm saying, to see if they do the thing, and they tend to, measure up as they measure up. You know what I'm saying? They might get a few in some seasons there'll be a shock, but you know what I'm saying, there might be 1 or 2 queens that be like, oh shit, we didn't expect you to like measure up, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like these girls are not the girls to have wasted all of those double saves and
So
ain't
many
nobody
episodes where
going home
nobody went
today.
home.
Like nobody. Top 5. You know how many seasons I was like, and I can't even think of those seasons now as long ago as they were. You know, it was before season. How many times before season 8 I was like, I don't know if you're supposed to let her go yet. Like, I don't know if that's fair. And she was still let go. Like, what are we on? Is this the year of grace? Is that the lesson of the year? Oh, just give grace, 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 grace all around. Grace.
And almost like for you to almost get sent home on, like, Bosco almost got sent home on the lip sync Lollapalooza, and then only to be saved by that damn chocolate bar.
That's what I'm
at the next
saying. Like, I put in
episode.
too
I was
many
like,
things.
what? And I didn't
Right.
think Bosco had the chocolate bar. I was disappointed that Cornbread didn't have it, but it wouldn't have helped anyway.
Right.
But who do you feel is going to win this season, or who are you putting your bid in for this year?
There's parts of the game that I'm unfamiliar with, but with the parts of the game that I am familiar with, which is the show itself, I think that I believe that Lady Camden really deserves it. Who do
Okay.
I want to have it? I want Angeria. You already know, very Issa Rae about it, rooted for everybody black. I think
Word?
I think Angeria also deserves it. Algeria came out real strong and managed to survive and stay there, although she had some stumbles and falls on the way up. But she never hit the bottom, and not well. Besides the before this last episode, and she's never you know what I'm saying, like done so bad. Even in that episode, she's never done so bad that it was like, oh my god, girl, like you could never like you should hang it up, bitch. There's been times I've been like, hang it up. Who was the one that bombed? So in the reunion this time, everyone they gave RuPaul gave the queens that were eliminated before the reading challenge, his mini challenge, the opportunity to read the girls. And there's this one girl I just don't remember. And somebody made the joke about like, which season are you on again? To her while she
Oh,
was trying to
Orion's
read.
Story.
Yeah, girl. She
Well,
wasn't ever
Orion went
giving a
home
single
like
time.
first, and then they brought like
Right.
her and Diabetes back, and then
She went home first again.
did she, or was it June? No, June went home first, and then Orion sent June home first, and
Oh,
then the
right.
next episode, I think Maddie sent home Orion. Yes,
Yeah, she was. Oh no, no,
it
no, no.
was still early, but like,
You got the reverse. Maddie sent June home.
oh, okay.
Maddie sent June home.
Who sent home Orion?
June. June held it
Okay.
down for an extra episode. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
if I remember from what the reunion was, they were talking about somebody having an OSHA violation, and it was June having an OSHA violation. Maddie said,
Right. You're right.
right, had brought up that joke. So, yeah, like she's all bitter and shit. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, how dare you come in there bitter when you were a filler queen that didn't even get the opportunity to do your job? Like, hang it up. You know what I'm saying? Like, of all the queens to hang it up, I mean, like for sure, like everyone should do drag. I don't do drag. It's not what I do, so I don't even claim to have those things.
I'm
But
a drag queen.
nonetheless,
Orion,
it's like, girl, like, hang it up. Of all the girls that showed up, she was the least prepared. I feel like I remember her the least out of the girls I don't remember throughout the seasons. And she's
Orion
fresh
was a
and
little
new.
overly confident as well. Especially
Yeah.
for the drag that she was giving. Like, I remember when the promo came out, and I was like, oh, okay. And I'm new with
Right.
this. I'm not the best drag, as y'all can see. But, like, you know, I still have an opinion. I still have a level of taste. I was just like, and sometimes with Kings, it's the level of taste. It wasn't there for me.
Agreed.
Personally, like you said, like I'm rooting for everybody black. I would love Angeria to win. I'm team Angeria. You know, more black girls up in RuPaul's Drag Race Hall of Fame. But
Right.
I feel like Willow might take it
I
because
agree.
she is a fan favorite. But she does only have one challenge win compared to the other top competitors like Lady Camden and Bosco who have 3. So I was like, I know that factors into the judges and the producers' minds. So we'll see. I don't know. I don't know.
And
Like,
I agree. Like I think Willow Pill has like the hearts of the people, including the judges, enough to like really pull this out. But it has done interesting things enough on the runway and the main stage. You know what I'm saying? To like for people to be like, you know what, like unique enough. The uniqueness is giving. You know what I'm saying? Like enough. And I would say the charisma's there, the uniqueness there, the nerve is there, the talent's there. I'm more concerned about her body.
mm.
And I'm
Well,
not
I mean,
sure what they, because if it's a high octane film that you think they're preparing for, or if the schedule, you know what I'm saying, in general, is going to be high as fuck octane, you know, Rue does have a tendency to be like, can we? You know what I'm saying? And like does certain things to mitigate, you know what I'm saying? Like made sure Evie Oddly was, up in the front, but like, had sat her when she needed to sit and then brought her back out and sat her and brought her, you know what I'm saying, did a thing with Evie. Um I just hope that if they do pick Willow and whatever they have planned is not going to put Willow's body in any danger.
Do want to talk about the trailer for All Star 7, the winners season, came out this week, and the Vivian is a part of that cast. So maybe we're going in a new direction, mixing and matching franchises from around the world, especially in All Stars context. I think they like the Vivian is like one of those fan favorites, and maybe they wanted to give her an opportunity to win some money and showcase her more in front of like the American audience. But on the cast and before I even get into this is not the winter season I wanted in my fantasy. I really we knew a winter season was gonna come eventually. I wanted the grand thing. Like Bob the drag queen was one of those queens that was really like, oh yeah, if they have a winter season, I definitely want to do it. And I was so surprised that they weren't on there. But this wasn't the winter season from like the girls all the way from the beginning to like last season,
Right.
that I really wanted, and I know other fans probably wanted to see. I also know, like, in reality, a lot of those girls are not involved with the franchise anymore and would rather not compete in Drag Race again. So maybe they did ask everybody, and this is all that they could come up with, and they had to, like, change plans, But I would love to see Tyra, a lot of other people that don't necessarily do drag anymore, like, up on the winter season. But, we have, let's get a closer look at this. So we got Evie Oddly. We have Jinx Monsoon, Shea
Yum.
Coulee, Raja,
Super yum. Way yum.
Trinity the Tuck, Jada
Super
Essence
yum.
Hall, Monet
Yummington.
Exchange, and the Vivian. No, you're not impressed. You're not feeling this.
I would replace it's Yum up until we get to Monet and the Vivian, and I guess like it's not that I'm not Team Monet. I like Monet. Monet, you know how I feel about Monet. Sometimes when like Monet's like life on YouTube, it's just be like, oh God, girl, get a grip, and not that I
Very
don't
Pisces
have
energy.
other right, and not that I don't have other issues with like Bob or whatever have you, but you know what I'm saying, in like some of the, you already know, programming of that mind they're in. Um, I want to see Bob. I don't want to see Monet. And if I had to see Monet, Bob needs to also be there. So like, if Monet is there, then the Vivian's got to go. Where's Bob? And we were
Booked
talking. I
and busy,
remember we were
baby.
talking about the right. I remember we were talking about the timeline, and he might have been doing the "We're Here" thing or whatever have you. And that's all well and good, but like, no, shade. This could have been, who knows the methods by which they pick these queens for these extra franchises or whatever have you. But I know that what I wanted to see was literally like, and winners of seasons 1 through 8, boom, and winners of seasons 9 through, you know what I'm saying, like.
Mm. Yeah, they definitely have enough girls at this point to do that. But I know that Tyra is not down with the franchise anymore. I feel like
Hmm.
Sharon Needles necessarily isn't down with the franchise anymore. I'm trying to think of who else won that probably wouldn't do it from like the main, because I wasn't even expecting them to like involve All Stars winners at all. So
Right.
that surprised me.
Which I don't want.
Then throwing in international queens, I figured that
Right.
might happen because there's like a couple of girls that have won that aren't in the franchise anymore. So like insert international queen to like fill those gaps. Because we've had 14 seasons, so they could have had like a full cast of 14,
Right.
to do this. I'm glad they didn't do it that way because that still gives me a chance when you know it's gonna be my time someday, maybe, who knows. Um, but yeah, all right. Well, let's get into our last segment for the our next segment for the night, Overcast, and that's our where we share stories that are a little sad, but we want to bring them to you just to share and enlighten you a little bit. So our first story in Overcast for tonight is Ali Wong and her husband Justin Hakuta are getting a divorce after 8 years of marriage. So a source close to the couple says they will continue. It's amicable and they're going to continue to co-parent lovingly. They have 2 daughters, 6-year-old Mari and 5-year-old Nikki. I can't say that this is surprising to me.
Right.
Only because, in her recent special, the way she was talking about her husband and that doesn't necessarily mean anything about their marriage, but, the way she felt when the craft services guy at the movie Always Be My Maybe, kind of came on to her. And I was just like, even if your husband is super confident and super secure in your marriage and masculinity, I don't know if that's the kind of joke you want to make about that anyone should make about their marriage. So I was like,
Right. To me, it's different if you're going to talk about, you know what I'm saying, and even joke about how, you getting attraction from some extramarital person makes you feel good because, I mean, a lot of times when you're in relationships, sometimes there are people who drop the ball in making sure that their partner knows that they're attractive. You know what I'm saying? So if that happens and somebody swoops in and lets you know that you're attractive, you can't say that doesn't feel good. Y'all should absolutely have a conversation about why it felt good and how that can be
right.
more implemented more in your relationship. But to then say openly, I wish I could cheat on my husband
in every special,
every special, to essentially say he's almost not good enough. You went to him because you needed a man, because without a man you wouldn't be able to find the stability that's man. And then suddenly you're making more money than him, and it's not fair that you have to still be with him every special.
And
but here you are in this.
Not to cut you off, he comes from I did a little research. He comes from a very well-to-do family. She brags about him going to Harvard Business School and Carnegie Mellon for undergrad. But his father is Dr. Fad, who is basically they're Japanese, but his father was raised in Korea, is the Japanese version of Bill Nye the Science Guy. He was on television for a very long time. He was had a show from 1988 to 1994 and is very influential in Korean media. And so they got money.
They got money. Which
was
was part of the reason she married him. She was like, "Oh, I need it," and then going to talk about in the article, "Oh, I didn't want to sign a prenup. I was mostly forced to sign a prenup, but I'm glad I did. It was the best thing for my career." Of course, girl. You married him for the money in the first place. You didn't want the prenup because just in case everything you had planned went to shit, you didn't want it to be easy for him to divorce you. If he divorced you, you wanted to take half.
Right.
This is not only sad, it's a little okay, we get into the conniving ways that unfortunately, some men be talking about as though they talk about it as though it's every woman, which is ridiculous. But, and then speak of it without speaking to the circumstances in which women are forced to be this way in the first place. But yeah, that marriage wasn't going to last. She didn't marry him for love. She didn't even marry him for sex. Marriages that happen for sex last longer than this.
She married him for stability, and I guess once she was able to provide stability for herself, maybe it wore off. But they got 2 kids to raise, and I'm sure they'll work out whatever it is they need to do. So our next story in Overcast is one that literally hit super close to home this week in New York City, where we travel to daily for work. There was a subway shooting where about 15 people were injured and shot at. a person released gas canisters onto in the subway car and began ringing off shots on the N train early on Monday morning. I was at work. Look, thank God I was already at work. That's a train that I do take sometimes. I don't take it as far down as it happened in Brooklyn. But it could have happened. It could have happened anywhere. Like my Citizen app on my phone was like blaring off the hook. Allegedly, Frank R. James faces sheriff charges in the attack that left 10 people with gunshot wounds at as it rolled into the 39th Street station, 4th Avenue station in Sunset Park around 8:30. A man opened two-spoke canisters and took out a 9mm semi-automatic. Now, none of the cameras in the subway station were working at the time of the shooting, so it took the police a while to find a photo. They had a description, but apparently but within hours they had a name. They had found a gun in the gas canisters and were able to trace who the gun was registered to. They blasted his picture all over the news and social media, and he turned himself in. He was at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania and called the police and were like, "Hey, I heard you're looking for me." And this was scary. Like, this is like especially scary for us because, like, you know, we ride the subway every day. There are more and more violent attacks on New York City subways every day. Like, there's some sort of like stabbing or people getting pushed into the tracks like weekly now, like in the city. Right. So this bothered me a lot. I was saddened that this was done by a black man. It's sad and frightening when anybody does it, but like usually, like when these things happen in America, like we know who it be. So I was surprised. But this is just like reckless, and no one wants to live in like fear like this.
This is the part of the situation that people are always afraid of when we talk about, like when the circumstances get so bad that people are going to actually want to revolt. Like we don't. I'm not saying I have any into this man's motivations or anything of that nature, but we are living in some of the most ridiculous times financially. We're living in some of the most ridiculous times. Period. This is like craziness that we're constantly surrounded in, and instead of like anybody taking this heat to where it belongs, people wait until they can't control where the heat goes, and then
act out.
We get this. We get a higher rate of crime. Are you kidding me? How dare y'all raise the price of everything, inflation, raise the price of rent, raise the price of basic groceries, have butter, Kirkland brand butter be $7 somewhere, ever, anywhere, ever, at any time.
Word.
And then never raise how much money people are making and think, and think that people are just going to be okay and that crime is not literally going to be the answer for most of the people after that. Crime is the only thing to do. I got to go to work for 8 hours and then sling rock. I got to go to work for 8 hours and then sling pussy. I got to go to work for 8 hours and then be an assassin or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, there's not enough money to be had. So not only do I have to have this regular ass stable job that I'm gonna need to, hold down, I need to have something that right after this is done, I can make $200 quick dollars literally right now.
Word.
And have it in my hand.
Like, rent is still at like an all-time high in New York. Literally, like, if you're not living with your parents or like 3+ roommates, if you're living on your own in New York, you're working 2 or 3, like at least 3 jobs to afford a studio. Like a studio in New York is around $1,600 in the hood. In the hood. So, I expect more things like this to happen, and it is really frightening, but it's also understandable.
Fully indicative of the surroundings, the times, and the environment. Period. fully indicative of what's going on. And the fact that, again, well, I'm gonna say it. This is the first time I'm saying it as Jack Fuller. I also will never forgive y'all. Y'all did not sit the fuck down. This is because nobody sat down and we're all going to work. Literally, if you were still at home, how could this happen?
It's,
Everything's telling you to stay your ass home. Everything. And
and we're
and
not talking
something
about work remotely. We're talking about active, inactive, resistant. It's like we are the machine. If we pull out, it stops. It stops.
period. We are the means of production. We don't even have to stop working. We just need to stop working for them. How about it?
All right. And with that said, let's get into our last segment for tonight. Floating through the breeze, and that's where we touch on some stories that have crossed our paths lightly. Little small stories that we're gonna briefly touch on for you before we close out for tonight. So, um, ugh, I pressed the wrong button. The world's least favorite turf. J.K. Rowling hosted some of most country's prominent feminists and women activists for a self confident boozy lunch to support the Respect My Sex campaign. Guests included Kathleen Stock, who resigned from her University of Sussex job after being accused of transphobia, and Helen Joyce, who penned "Trans: When Ideology Meets Reality," among many other people. But this was basically a turf's luncheon that J.K. Rowling threw for these women. And I was just like, yo, just when you think certain people couldn't scrape any lower, here she is taking a
Right.
deep dive into her turf job. And she got a new movie coming out. And literally almost everyone in that cast is questionable. They've had some sort of racist or sexist incident, and like they all in this movie. And like, I love the Harry Potter franchise, but like I stopped supporting her a long time ago because like, and she's also like allegedly like a neo-Nazi. Like she said some things about the Holocaust and Jewish. Like it ugh. Even this movie has anti-Semitic. The new Dumb Secrets of Dumbledore movie has some underlying anti-Semitic themes. So it's like, ugh, girl, and they let her do this, and it's like, JK, get out of our face.
Seriously. And it's just really crazy. In case y'all don't know, like, again, trans exclusionary radical feminists just do not get feminism whatsoever. They just don't get it. So all of these things that they're screaming at the top of their lungs, it cis women have absolutely a right to fight for cis women rights. There are things that cis women do not get, especially cis black women. Half of these cis white women really need to sit the hell down. But cis women, for sure, have things that they do not get that they need. There's plenty healthcare things that are ridiculous globally. There's plenty, you know what I'm saying, like safety things that are ridiculous globally. Literally just walking down the street almost anywhere as a woman is extremely dangerous. And as a cis woman, especially if they know that you're cis, and all kinds of things where they're like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Like there's people who are very like put a baby in you specific, you know, rapists. You know, it's really crazy. So it's not that any trans person or any non-binary person or any person who wants to be in needs and in fact is included in feminism doesn't think that there are times where cis people and cis women should have voice and voice their own, and should have ways and have needs that have nothing to do with us, and all kinds of things of that nature. We know that there's needs that y'all have that have nothing to do with us, that because you are quote unquote biologically female, because I hate that term, but because that's a term that y'all love to use, because that is what y'all are, we know that there are things that y'all have to deal with that otherwise woman like people do not have to deal with. But when we talk about what womanhood is, we're talking about the things that we have in common. And by now, y'all should understand that there are things that we did not invite on ourselves that we indeed have in common with y'all. That no matter what we wear, what we have on, how we present, how we perform, especially any black people, because fuck JK, but especially any black people who consider themselves terse, or think that your sex matters more than the gender that is surrounding
Right.
the rules of engagement of your sex in the first place.
To
Like,
sit here
if
and
you
link
think
up
that,
and lunch over your hatred is fucking
yeah,
asinine anyway. The fact that a black woman was
crazy,
even there, I'm like, sis,
right?
you know she don't like you.
What are you doing there? Will align yourself with anyone but people that are your own people to try to figure out what's actually going on with people that look like you, but might not think that a man is a person with a penis and a woman is a person with a vagina. Like, you gonna go to the white side? This is why I can't with y'all.
This is why we won't.
This is why we
Uh,
will not with y'all.
um, in more news from across the pond, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and Rashi's Sunka are fined for basically they had a party during COVID lockdown, breaking their own rules. So Parliament has voted and decided that their punishment will be a fine. From the looks of it, the fine won't be extensive, but it's wild to me how we've gotten to the point where even like politicians sort of spit in the public face and act as if like they're above the law and the rules that they created. And this was last June where COVID rates in the UK were high. They're calling the number 10 party that they had, and it was like, oh, it was first they denied it, then they said it was a little get together, lied repeatedly about the number of people, went back and forth, and they're pretty much getting a slap on the wrist because like they're prime minister, so like they weren't gonna give them jail time. I wasn't expecting anything horrendous, but like I read somewhere that the fine may be any like between 50 and 100 and I'm like, really?
Mm,
Dock them their salary for 6 months. Let's know it's real.
right.
They don't
Document
get
their
paid
salary
much
for six
anyway.
months.
A lot of them got second jobs.
Right. Dock their salary for 6 months and take away their authority. Cause like you don't get to tell people what to do and essentially do the opposite.
Be a
Get caught, which
scofflaw.
again, and get caught because here's the thing, y'all new politicians. Not saying that he's young or that he's actually new to the game, but y'all politicians of this era got the game fucked up. It's not the same game. This is not the '90s game that
It's
y'all are
the age
playing.
of social media. Everyone has a camera phone. People they got caught because people was posting it on the gram.
This is
Like
not the
what
age.
year
This
do
is
you think
not the
this
'90s.
is?
Right. This is not the '90s. This is not the game where somebody has to do an expose. There are no exposés. There's Facebook Live. There's IG Live. There's Snapchat. There's TikTok. People like literally somebody will record you by accident. Literally a cell phone. You know how many times I butt dial somebody on a daily? Literally, a cell phone could record you by accident in a space. Literally, somebody could have butt dialed somebody at the event by accident and be like, "Oh shit, my fault. Like I didn't mean to call you. Where you at? Oh, I'm over here haphazardly drunk, right? Haphazardly tell somebody where they at, and now it's out. Like this is not the time. Soon as smartphones came about, it wasn't the time, whether it was social media or not. It's over. It's over. Keep your scandals private. Keep your scandals private and get everybody's phone when y'all are at the scandal.
I
And I'm
mean, at
only
this
giving you
day and
this
age, you
advice
can't
because
even do that
where's
because
your
someone can
PR person
snitch.
to give you this advice? If you keep it relatively private, that person does essentially doesn't have much leverage to snitch depending on who you're fucking with. And fuck with people on your level. A lot of times y'all these people want to have so much control over people, they bring people that are not on their level into some shit, and then they have all the leverage in the world because they don't got nothing to lose. So now I have all kinds of shit information that I can use to gain access, money, whatever it is that I need. And if you lose some of it, I'll fucking well. You've had it for long enough, and I haven't, so that is what it is. Now, where's TMZ? Ding dong, ding dong, ding ding ding. TMZ, what's good? Here's the information. Like the
It's really
fuck.
funny though. In this situation, it was all politicians, and they still got caught. So I'm like, how y'all got the game this messed up?
I promise it was like if somebody didn't leak it on purpose, somebody butts out somebody, son. It'd be something that simple and that loose, and y'all gotta be better. In New York City public schools, they are taking children's phones and putting them in bags in which they cannot access these phones. They have to come at the end of school by the door to essentially do the thing. When you have your clothes and the clothes have the pin on it that like you can't it'll ring if you leave
Mm-hmm.
the store. Is essentially the same mechanism. They come through, take a thing, some magnet or some click comes off depending on what school you are. Some people got the magnet, some people have the actual like some like actual clicking mechanism, and then they unleash the bag and then they can go home with their phone. You telling me New York City public schools got that, but politicians or worldwide don't understand to do something similar, let alone make sure niggas empty their pockets into a basket? Have y'all never been to a key party? Have y'all never done anything like what is this? Have y'all never read anything? This level of a scandalo during these times is just like lazy.
It really is. Our story for tonight is Kirk Franklin's son, Carry Franklin, has been arrested in LA and being held without bond. He was in assisted permanent housing and location from jail. A court date has been set for this week. Basically, Carry was caught driving a car of a woman who's been reported missing out in LA for weeks now. He says he bought the car through all the proper legal means and has the title. He didn't know, he had no clue that the woman was missing when he bought it, and he's had the car, I think he says, for over a year. So it's kind of ridiculous that they're holding him in jail. He
Right.
did make a public plea for his father to help him. We know from the things we've seen unfold in social media in the past like year or two that they do not have the best relationship. And like, he's just, starting to come into his own, being on like the Bad Boys and Zeus. Which we have to catch up on. We haven't seen like a lot of the new episodes. But it's set like they be arresting niggas for anything.
They
Like,
really do. They'll find
because
shit.
it
They will
doesn't
find
seem
shit.
like, from the article I read, it doesn't seem like they believe he stole the car, but they feel like he might know something about the woman's disappearance. And I'm like, how that work? You buy a car from somebody, you not like what? What does that have to do with you?
Like he's too
So
busy trying to make sure that the world don't know who he is for y'all to be doing this. Like y'all are making it mad hot for my nigga. Like y'all making it mad
oh
hot.
wait,
Y'all making it mad hot for my homie.
well, at least in jail he can do it with other people. Like,
Depending, because sometimes in jail you don't even get there. Sometimes you gotta, depending on where you are, you gotta wait till prison.
right? Hopefully it don't go that far.
Hopefully you don't go so far as prison. Hopefully you got some yum yum in the bad boy's house and calls it a day, and gets the fuck out of there.
Some of that
Because get
sweet
out of jail,
bullshit.
my nigga. Okay, could get out of jail. You can't be brighter days son in jail. That's not how this works.
uh,
Kirk is rolling. Kirk is rolling in his computer chair.
I hope Kirk isn't petty and help his sons out. Like, he has the money and the
Me too.
resources and the lawyer.
I hope he at least gets him a good lawyer. Yeah,
Right. Don't let your son rot in jail, Kirk. That's not cute.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
y'all will work it out.
Period.
But that's it. That's all we got for you tonight. I hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure that you follow us on all social media. We're on YouTube. Make sure you check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/anukai and support this podcast so you guys can get the full episodes and more exclusive content. Make sure you follow us on IG at Anukai Tree. The Anukai Tree podcast is available on Anchor. That's by Spotify, so it's available wherever podcasts are streaming. Thank you for joining us tonight. I've been Miss I don't remember my own name. I'm Miss Patty, and I've been here with our special guest Jack Fuller making a cute appearance for tonight. And we'll see you next week on All Shade, No Tree. No Shade, All Tree. Good night, y'all.
Let's throw shade.